Alright, so I'm making sure I am live. Looks like I am. So, welcome everyone who wants to join us. Double check that everything's going like it should. And it looks like it is. So, I'm going to be doing a tuning. I'm going to check in here and just see. Bear with me, I'm being a rookie at this. So, just double checking everything. Make sure the chat is working. I think it is. Also, I got 6 viewing. Okay, that's what it says. So, comments. If you need any comments on any, add any comments or ask questions, please do. So, what I'm going to be doing, I have a couple cameras now on this eCam setup. I have the one facing me. I have a track cam, and then I also have a tech cam, which is right here. And this is the car we're going to tune. All I'm going to do is just a little basic tune, and I'm going to keep the Policar tires on there. I'm not going to use any. Let's see, somebody saying the volume's low. Volume's really low for some reason. How about now? Is that better? I got a little mic here. This is on the iPhone. So let me see if I can improve it. We'll try and improve it. I'm at 100%. Is that better? JB the Gnome? I don't know if that's or not. I know I have the mic also going on the ZV-1 camera, which is the tech cam. And but we'll do what we can as we can. Like again, I'm using a small iPhone mic. I'll put it up here closer. I don't know if you could hear still, but give it a shot anyway. So this is the Policar F1s that Policar released, and these cars do need a lot of help when you're messing with them. And as you can see, this is really too high off the ground. Don't like it that way. You can see how they're not touching. Let's get that to focus more. Get my hand out of there. Come on, focus. Take these cameras, you gotta encourage them to focus. And come on. It's almost there. Just I see all the trouble everyone else has sometimes when they do these things. And yes, sir, not great, but better. Sorry about that, man. Again, I'm gonna get a mic. I just right now I can't be buying too much stuff. Okay, so it is better. Good. So we got just basically this car right here. I wish it would focus on it. Thank you, Dwan. Appreciate that. Again, like I said, I'm just and the camera to go freaky there. But anyways, these cars are really fun. This one in particular, when I had this out on the track at the kill one of the mics. Okay, echo. All right, so I know which one you're talking about. So right there, how is that better? There's one mic muted because I did have 2 mics going. So hopefully you can hear me there. If not, I can switch to the other one. I only did this one because it's connected to the camera that faces the track, and I figured it's easier instead of trying to have the room echo. Reverberating my sound, not an echo exactly. But so I'm just here, just messing with this car, and what I'm going to do is, first thing I start with is, obviously taking out the body screws and remove the body. Removing the body on this car is somewhat of a pain in the butt, because sometimes on the back of it here, these pieces go over the axle, and then you have to be very careful. And again, you can't be a bull in a china. How'd you say? No, wrong mic? Okay, hold on a second. Okay. How about now? Okay, so the ZV-1 camera was better. I don't remember that. So, okay. Now that this is really of no use, and I still need to get a mic. I have a tripod coming for this camera. I hear a thumb down. Which one's better, John? Is the one I have on right now better? That's coming from the from one of the cameras. Just lost sound. Ah, interesting. Okay. So let me do this. Sorry, guys. Just getting all this set up. Echo is back. Let's see. I don't have anything that's coming from the one of the cameras. Well, let's see. I don't see no echo. This one's better. Okay. So that one's better. Okay. So I left on the camera mic, which is the Tech Cam one. That one's actually the ZV-1 Sony Cam. Okay. Cool. All right. So again, like I said, back here is really where it becomes kind of tricky, these things here, because you got to pull this body off, and I'm going to do it on camera, and I may screw it up, so at least you know what to expect if I do screw it up or if I don't. And I'll start out with the body screws, which are these two right here, and the ones right here, they're the flat screws right here. And there's also one back here, a tiny flathead one. That holds, I believe, the motor part of it to the chassis. And there's none here in these two. Those are not there. So, gotcha. Thank you. Thank you, JB the Gnome. So, we won't use the iPhone one ever again then. That's great for when you're just using that camera, I guess. So, but, alright. So, what I'm going to do is take these off, the body screws, remove them. And they do have little washers, so remember that when these come out, there's tiny little, there may be little washers with them. This doesn't look like this has it. Sometimes they have them, sometimes not. There goes a wheel insert. You know, that's nice. Pop that back in there. Can't trip. Oop, that one's backwards. Well, to pull that out later and fix it. There we go. Sometimes these wheel inserts pop out. To glue them back. So, all right. Hopefully that won't come out. That usually happens. Anyways, there's no washer there. Still echoing. Do you have a monitor speaker? No, I don't, John. I don't know why it's echoing. Do not have any other speaker on. I only have one microphone on. That's it, and that's the Tech Cam one. That's the only microphone that's picking up. And I have no other speaker anywhere, so let me do this. I think this is, I'll turn this off just in case. Okay, turned off that mic, so maybe leaving it on was a problem. So I'm going to remove the front ones here. That's these two in the front of the nose. And peel those out. What I can do is add some more light on here. Get that one out. Cat 4 screws, of course, they're tiny little screws. Remember that. See how they're all squiggling around there. So, yeah, I don't know why it's doing that on your end. Is anybody else getting that same thing that John's getting on his? Just double. Let me look and hear myself through the live. Screw, remember that? See how they're all squiggling around there? Yeah, I'm not getting anything like that. So, yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. So, let me look. Get rid of this. Sorry, I'm taking a while to do this. Hold on a second. I think I know why. Hold on a second. Okay, how about now? Says I have the iMac mic muted. I took off the iPhone one, so I don't know if that's going to help. Okay. Anyways, getting back to this. Get closer. If I can get it to focus, now nothing's going to focus. Let me... There we go. Alright. I took the 4 body screws off, and I still had to take out this tiny one in the back. That's a little brass one. I'll get my screwdriver and I'll remove that one. It's a tiny little brass screw. And I may need to put my glasses on because I cannot see too well. There's that little screw. And here's the fun part, is separating the body from the chassis. Yep, and there we go. And that's good because that's supposed to come off. Forgot about that one. So see, this piece right here it lies inside the tail here, and this is the exhaust pipes. So I mean, that seemed like the only thing that I forgot about. But that goes right here. I believe it goes, let me see, that way. Just like that. This triangle piece right here goes inside the wing, and then that little circular part holds in there. So that's the only thing you got to worry about coming out, is that piece right there, and it will pop out just like that. So that's the body off, so it isn't as bad as the BRM one, which could be really a pain in the butt. So I want to set all our little screws off to the side here, put a body up here, and here we have the chassis. And of course, everybody's seen this chassis. We have our pod screws, which are right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Harry and I have talked about these, and I've talked to John a little too, but this one we usually remove because if we loosen these, having an extra screw here doesn't really allow the pod to float, I don't believe, as freely as it does if you have it in there, even if you loosen it. So usually we'll ditch this screw and get rid of it when we're ready to kind of like loosen the pod, but I'll get rid of it now just to get it out of there because I don't need it. It's nice to have some extra screws going around for these cars too. And I'll try and pick the washer out of there with like that. There you go. So it's eliminated. I don't have to really worry about that. What I like to look at too is the gears, as Harry's talked about. Make sure this isn't, walking so much that this bushing will walk out. But it looks like that's pretty much in there, and you could use a little of the E6000 glue that he talked about, or maybe UV glue to do that. But right now I don't see no reason for myself to do that. It's just me, but I'll probably do it later. But that's an option for everybody. I'm going to set the card down. We're going to see we have the right height, which is sitting real high. I don't like how that sits. A little bit crooked too, looks like, but it's too much. That's too high. That's really one of the critical parts of these cars, because of course these act as outriggers. You can see there's travel in the axle too. So I usually like to put, some people maybe just put 2, but I believe I like to put 2 grub screws here and then 2 on the bottom, and then kind of do my axle height thing. Now I don't have any grub screws down here because everything's upstairs where I usually do my work. And that camera's going nuts. Let me try and refocus it there. And you can see how it's a little high, and we want those to actually almost get them a little bit lower. Yep, there's, like John said, weird. It just cleared up. Sounds perfect now. That's good. The 2 up front fight each other. Correct. So I usually like to put a set screw here on the top and the bottom, and I like to get the set screws where they're just right above each one of, the top of the axle and below the axle, so that the axle, is kind of steady, and that's how I do it, myself personally. Now I'm going to go get some grub screws upstairs, and this is the part I forgot, and this is usually what happens. There are some grub screws in these things they give you on the bottom of the package, and I believe it's, if there are any, on this particular one, looks like they didn't give us any grub screws. Okay, this is the thing too. You have to buy some grub screws when you tune these cars, and they're M2, or you could use M2.5, I think, or just probably M2.5 or M2 will be good. Let me go get my little package of grub screws, and I'll be right back. So hold on here a second. Okay, I'm back. So I got my grub screws. So I'm gonna go with, let's start with M2x2. So I got a lot of these. Let me grab. These things are tiny, so keep in mind. That's why I have this little container. These are like beads. I have them labeled, so I keep them all in this, so I don't have to worry about losing them. Or you can use the little Dubrick little cases that Slot Car Corner sells too. So I'll grab my grub screws and put them in the holes. 2 on the top. Work them in. Just maybe a little bit tight when you do that. And we'll also go over, make sure that these spin freely too. That's another key important thing on these cars. Let's see. Ooh, 3D stream, that sounds cool. So they're doing 3D stuff. And I got that one. I'm gonna get the ones and put them on the bottom. Hello, Slot R. Hey, Slot R did an awesome video on that hot rod video he did for, they call them hot rods. And I didn't know that, Slaughter R, Dave. I didn't know you guys called them hot rod. That was a great history lesson there on your guys' version of the, circle track racing. That's a real good video if anybody hasn't seen it. And I like how he critiques Scalextric because they need a spanking on what they do, man. Some of the things they do are, I don't know why they do it. And he really nailed it on the head with, it sounds like basically they rebranded that car and then just to make a quick buck and just not really putting the effort into, the historical part of the car and stuff like that. And I thought that was a really good article on that, or a good video. Really, really cool video if you guys haven't seen it. So I'm just going to move my grub screws here. Okay, let's set the height here. Which that's pretty good. And then I'll come down here and kind of check these out. Make sure not. Sometimes when they're brand new, they get really stuck. So there we go. I'll look at these also in here because it doesn't look like any of these are rubbing too much. I think on this particular car they're not as bad. I mean, if you wanted to shave these, you could. And I'm just looking to see if I have too much travel there. It doesn't look too bad. Well, it looks pretty close. I could go with that and try it out. Yeah, always count your turns on grubs. I did, I think, 2 on the top. And on the bottom, I didn't really count. I think I did 1. You could count with this if you go with this. I use this as a marker if you want to go quarter or somewhat when I'm tuning. But I'm just playing by the hip here. Looks like one side's higher than the other. So I'll do a quarter turn there. Just Doesn't look too bad. I'll go down here and turn it a quarter. I'm trying to get this to flow nicely, the wheels to kind of spin free. Oh, guys, what do you think? Not too bad. Looks like they're kind of hard to see in that camera. Looks like they're doing what they need to do there, barely touching. That's what you're trying to achieve. And so if I get the axle where I want it, I'll pull these out and I'll look at this stuff here and see if this is binding in the inside the wheel, because these will bind in the wheel. So I want these to spin nice and free. And doesn't look like it too much. I may also will get like a 10 thousandths washer. Pull these out a little. It's not too bad. I'll oil them up too. So that doesn't like any of the suspensions really rubbing in there. And I like where I have them at right now. I think they're in a good spot. So, and then again, this is a real key part, like I said here, this taking care of this. And then you want to look at your wires to see if they're rubbing, which it's looks like they are interfering a little. What you can do, depending if this nose has enough room, so what we'll do is we'll put the wires over the axle. So I'll pull these out again. So you can see the indentation marks where they're hitting the wire. There's little indentation marks, if you could see there, and that's been rubbing on the axle, and Harry calls that fouling the axle. That's the term that he used, that he told me when they do that. So I'll pick those up, put these through, just get a little bit more, see how much better it spins. Just get these up here. I think I'll be okay like that. Spread these out a little. I wish these would move a little bit better, but on some cars they move. That's pretty free, but sometimes they'll spin real nice and some they won't. It just, as long as they're free and they're not binding up and the wire isn't giving it a hard time on there. And there you go. One thing too with these back wheels, you can press them in. You got to be careful. If you do push them in on accident too far, it'll rub these parts of the suspension, and then you don't want that, especially when you have the body on. So you want to make sure that these are kind of away from all that suspension work. See, you got everything in there looks pretty good. Got a little movement. I'll tighten that up just a teeny bit if I can. I'll move this in a little. Get a little movement there. If you want it a little loose, you can keep it a little loose. It's up to you what you want to do. I usually do the bottom set screw height, then the tops for it to make them play unless when carriers won't allow it. Yep, that's a good idea, John. I'm just going by the fly here, buddy. I know you tune a lot more than I do, but as far as I know, this looks pretty good right here. And then what I'll do is I'll lube all this. Get some lube. Use the PTF lube. It's windy here in North Carolina, at least in my neighborhood. Boy, that wind is blowing hard, and holy smokes, that stuff's coming out too much. And it's pretty crazy over here right now with the wind. And I got too much grease. That stuff comes out pretty quick from that tube. So let me kind of smother it all over here and take whatever out I don't need. This will be enclosed though, so that's a good thing. Get it on here. Get some on here. Just get grease in there, get it nice and greased up. This will all be in place. Yeah, I will definitely do that, John. because that right there will need some oil for sure. I usually do that. That is correct, sir. You are correct. I'll get some oil and lubricate the little bushings here. Drop oil there. Drop oil there. I'll do one on the motor here too. And of course that's a closed off end bell motor, so you can't put any oil there. And like John said, I'll put some oil here because we want it to, you know, move around nicely in between those grub screws. Come on a little bit more. Not bad, working in there, as you can see. Let's see, focus. Focus, focus. Let's see. There we go. Focus. Nice and free. It's pretty free there. Well, it's pretty good. So, well, basically kind of it right there. Just getting it set up to that focus again. I gotta check the setting on the camera. That's nice and easy right there, you know. That's pretty good. It's not binding, nice and smooth, you know. And I'm gonna keep the stock Policar tires and run it with that. Usually I'll put NSRs and treat them, but I'll do that later. I want to try the G25 stuff that Harry's talked about, the slot 8. And I know, John, you mentioned some other ones during our chat as well. I can't remember what they were. I think they're the BRM ones you said. So John does a lot of tire work. So I had been using synthetic to grease the gearbox, but I've switched to lithium. Gotcha, the white lithium grease. Gotcha, gotcha. So basically that's it. It should be good. Then what we're going to do is always, this is always a little bit of the tougher part, putting everything back together. And we're going to get this right here. And we'll have to kind of like maneuver this in here. So what I'll do is I'll do this. This is the tough part about these cars. Just getting this. What I'm doing is, I haven't got my tripod for this camera yet, so that's why I'm kind of working weird angles with it. My tripod's on its way here. It's going to be delivered today for this camera. It's a vlogger tripod. So what you're going to do is get these in here, just like that, just like I did that. Make sure it's over the axle. The little suspension part, it goes over where it should. And I'm going to get body screws, which are so tiny, and put them on here, here. Get the other body screw. I know you guys can't see this too well because it's not focusing. Tap the focus area. To figure out how to work with this camera. This camera I got still brand new. It's like the 3rd time I've been using it, and still learning how to use it. Pretty cool camera. And I'll get my other screws back here. Put that on. I'll go all the way down with them and then I'll loosen them. I usually start with one full turn and then go from there. You could choose what you think is good. Yeah, they do, man. They love the NSR rubber. That's why that's why even Harry said, "Well, we all go to it," you know. There are alternatives as well, and but we'll give them a shot when we can. Okay, I'll push that in, and this is the little brass one that goes back here, and we're going to use our flathead and tighten that one up. I'll go on that one. I'll kind of go full turn too, full turn, and then I'll get these ones. And I use this little plus sign as kind of like my marker right here. That little plus on the screwdriver, on, you know, make it a full turn because I don't have it marked. So I'll go one full turn here, one full turn on the back here, and on the front, one full turn in the front, and the other one will full turn. Now on the pod screws, I'm going to go one full turn as well. One full turn, And 1 full turn. And on the front pod screw, because we only left 1 in there. Find my mark here. 1 full turn. Okay. Now I got movement here, see? Back to focus, focus. Get all the movement here. There we go. See, I got nice movement there. And nice cars like movement like that. And pretty much, I should be ready to go on the track. So that's pretty much it, what I do. The tires I'll do later, but right now I'm going to use the stock Policar tires. And do that. And then right now I'll put it on the track. I'm using 12 volts. And we'll give it a whirl there. I'm sure it won't be as perfect as... I know I shouldn't admit it, as the NSR tires. Those things are cool. Tested more than a few... the NSR rubber runs with the quietest of the bunch. Yeah, I'd have to agree. Though I haven't gotten any NSR rubber from the new Policar 126. And I did buy some slotted ones that Harry suggested, so I'm going to try those out, John. So all I'm going to do is, we got the power on the track, and we got the camera on there, and we're going to... Let me move the camera because it's not really exactly where it should be, so... It's covering part of the track. We go over here. There you go. Got most of it there. And I'm gonna take the car. I'm gonna put it on the track. Let's see what it's got. We're at 12.2 volts, a little bit high. So I have no. Oh, there it goes. Sorry, screwed up. Okay, let me do this here. My braids. The braids in order there. Let's try it again. I definitely need to treat the tires, at least wear them in a little. It's staying on the spot pretty good, so just not going super fast with it because, again, trying to break it in, treat the rubber in a little. The rubber will wear into the track. I've noticed that because I got rubber all over the track from everything else wearing in. But the NSR, see, that's the Policar tires are slippery. Whoop, boink, there we go. I kind of try and look at the front wheels to see if they're contacting. Oh, stopped on the lane changer. Let me check my braids. I don't think these are really touching as much as they should. Oh, braids up too low. Oh, too squished. Hold on a second here. Yeah. Alright. A little better. I don't think I'm really touching. I'm trying to look to see if they're spinning. It's one thing to look at. No, they aren't. They're touching. Like you should. I do need tire work, definitely. Ooh, slippery there. Yeah, see, definitely needs a little tire work. A little tire treatment wouldn't hurt, but once you get it settled down. Just a little sliding there. Slipping and sliding. Yep. Whoa! Whack! Whacked the freaking John Clare's clock. A little bit disrespectful there. Definitely needs some tire work. No doubt about it. There we go. Looks like it's doing what it needs to do, but Did you check your air pressure? No, I didn't clean the tires. You're right about that. I'm fired. Yeah, I didn't clean them. I could use a roller or I could use a naphtha, but I didn't clean them. You're right about that. And there's a lot of rubber laid over from... You can see pieces of rubber from the NSR rubbers all over my track, and it's kind of funny. Looks like a racetrack the way it should be. So I didn't clean the tires. Right about that. And it will generally, you'll see they'll get a pattern once you start running them more and more. But I'm fired. Everybody's going to fire me now. But not bad. And needs a little work here and there with tire work. But the front end doesn't seem to, the suspension parts don't seem to interfere too much with the front tires. On some of them they do. Like the last car I did, I had to really grind all the way around the Policar one. Because those were terrible. And John knows about it. So, but yeah, I didn't clean the tire. That was funny, I'm fired. Yep. I have the, I don't have the NSR Pro braid. I have the Slot Car corner braid. I could probably change that out. But anyways, just a quick deal there. Nothing fancy schmancy. Just when you pull these cars out of the box, that's for the guys who, you know, obviously that when they get these out of the box, that they don't get discouraged. You will need to get grub screws and, you know, some tools. A tech block helps. The tools, the oil, grease, you know, at least some 3-in-1 oil. If you don't, it doesn't have to be tire tweak. If you have any 3-in-1 oil on, you know, lighter fluid, naphtha. And you could do a little light tuning on your own to get the car running good. And I like these cars a lot. I got like another, you can see on the shelf there, there's a ton more I have to tune. They're all different. You have to do some things differently than from one to another, you know, more shaving here, you know, less shaving, more adjusting here, less. Some of them, this car actually particularly ran pretty decent at the other house that we were at when I pulled it out of the box, but it did needed work, like, you know, now. But I mean, they're so nicely detailed, and they're just gorgeous looking. I mean, all the motor work on it, it's a pretty car, all the high detail of it. And it's really a shame to throw these on the shelf and not want to do anything with them and just leave them there. They're fun to drive. And you can see I have the other couple of cars on the track there. There's the Ferrari and the 2 Lotuses, and then the March car there. I mean, they're worth it. And then the BRM, they're more worth, you know, tuning and having fun with them. Naphtha, yes sir. SEC braid is another fine choice. Yes sir. SEC braid. I got a thumbs down. That must have been from the from the echoing. And somebody thumbs down me. Went over and looked the soft tin stuff here. Yeah, I have the soft tin stuff as well that I use for like on some scratch builds and other cars. If I use the Slotting Plus guide, that's good stuff also. You know, really good stuff. I got the 2 different kinds. You know, there's so many products out there, and you just gotta pick the one that you think you like the best. Everybody has their choice of what to use. You know. Now I do have NSR tires for this. They're upstairs. I got a whole packages of them. I got like a lot of them, and I will throw those on there. And one thing about NSR tires, you can pop them on, treat them, and then run them on the track. I don't really see the need to true them, because it seems like they really true themselves when they go on my track and they get, you know, broken in. I mean, you see rubber all over the place from you know, just the working of it. But anyways, any questions on anything? I know John's helped me out always on tires, man. I always think John's always the one that's give me good recommendations on tires so I could pass it on to everybody else. He's definitely one that's done a lot of tire work. I know the Policar tires are pretty decent. You could stick with them. But if, you know, honestly, if you want to get something a little bit better, then you go with the slotted, you know, G25, or which I'm going to try, or the NSR rubber, which to me I think are better than the stock tires. But you could work the stock tires over if you don't want to spend money on tires. If you have a truer, and pretty soon everybody should have a truer because the new truer came out, and mine should be here tomorrow. I'm going to have one for down here, and then leave the other truer I have there mainly for scratch building. And I'll have one for like these cars down here. But pretty much it. Yeah, it is a great looking car, DK Moon. I think they're awesome, man. They're beautiful. And you can give Policar credit. They do look at the details part, you know, and at least it's not a fly car, you know. You don't have to change everything. How's the hot rod coming? I haven't continued a video yet because I'm building one for like on camera for everybody, and then I want to build 2 more on my own without being on camera or anything. So the first one I'm doing for the hot rod series, it's coming along. I haven't done anything else. I covered over doing your own guides. I cut a brass, the 3 different guides you could do. I think it was 4 actually. Using a spigot or making your own spigot out of brass, and you know that those take a little bit of time, but they are doable. And the Slotting Plus guide's a good guide too, because you could really tuck it away compared to the commercial one, which is kind of bigger. So the whole idea of the hot rod series is also, it's all about the modeling too, because it's the modeling that we're looking for on that series as well. As that's the real key part there. You know, performance is fine, and I'm sure it'll do fine, but you want the you want everything, you know, the modeling part's what Harry's looking at. Say Mark Bondi, does anyone have experience comparing the Overdrive RSM4 and the UCG Stock Intruder? Just curious how they stack up. So I know Raul from Conquest Racing has one, and I could probably ask him how his works, and maybe he could do a small video on it and show me. And then the Overdrive, the CG one that I'll be getting, will be here tomorrow. I'll do a small video on that. I know Harry's already done one on it. I think it's worth the money. It's not real expensive. I know the Overdrive one's real expensive because you have to ship it from Germany, and that's kind of a bit of money, you know. And it's just we're really lucky to have the CG actually come up with one. I mean, that's like the coolest thing now. That's the best thing to happen to the hobby, because since, you know, the Razor kind of faded away, we really didn't have anything. And the hard part with doing some of the videos that I do that involve scratch building was that, you know, you have to true urethane tires once you glue them on, and it's kind of hard to show that machine and then tell everybody, hey, true your tires. How can they do it if there's no truer? They would have to do it, excuse me, the old-fashioned way, which is with a piece of sandpaper, and hope for the best that way, which some people do. But we really did need a truer, and I'm glad it's out so that everybody has access to one to be able to true their urethane tires. And in rubber tires as well. And rubber tires take a little bit more. You just got to do it slower. And in silicone, don't even ever true silicone. I've done that. That takes too long, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's worth it. It's too long of a process. That's why I don't do it. I used to do it in the beginning with the Carrera cars I have, but it's not really necessary, not anymore. Just throw them on, and you do on the Carrera cars, you really got to just get rid of the extrusion parts and sand that all down and fill those in. That's the key part on those cars, and then you just glue on your silicone tires, and then they'll be fine. Policar, good value for the money. Yes, sir, I would agree. So they have their moments, but you know what? They are geared toward the hobbyist modeler. You know, like the 126C that I did mention on that video. I did that. The only thing I didn't like is that they put some long old grub screws in there. Thank you, Fast Sports. That's John. How you doing? I didn't like how they put the long old grub screws in that car. I mean, they were long. I just didn't know what the reason was for that. And they had the axle so high on it. You know, that right there is kind of the downfall of it. But you know, you could work around that, and the rest of the car is good, and you're fine. It's just a little. Nobody's perfect, and I'm not saying they have to be, but they should at least. Some of these things that they manufacture, I know they're done in other countries, but you know, miscommunications or quality control just doesn't see something, and I think sometimes quality control needs to be emphasized just a teeny bit more, so that the person who's actually buying it, who's a first-time person doing the hobby, should be able to at least put the car on the track and have it perform decently, not just dismally to where they just get frustrated and go, I ain't gonna buy that again, and then just throw it up on a shelf. And these cars really belong on the track to have fun with, and but I will change those tires for sure. I'll go and put NSR tires on them and treat them, and the car will run better. But nothing against the Policar tires. I have a pile of them now. I'll probably put them on the track as decoration. But like Harry said, the stock tires are good. He did it on his on the wood track, and they ran fine. But if you could true these a little bit, which I have on the other car I did, the 126, I did true them a little. I didn't put any NSR tires on them, but it worked out pretty good. 6mm overkill. Yep, 6mm overkill. Yep. And you guys have anything going on today? I know a lot of people are at work. I work odd hours. Well, not odd hours, but just odd days. So I usually have 4 days off all the time, which is nice. So I'm able to do a lot of this little things here and there. Anybody like how I have this set up? This is the eCam program, so I'm using an iPhone as the track cam, and I'm using this camera here. The tech cam is the Sony ZV-1, real good camera. And then this in the front that's facing me is my iMac 24 camera. So you're able to hook up multiple cameras. I have a webcam that's on top of the television, and I want to hook that one up, but I need a adapter, a female adapter to connect it, and I could put an above shot of the track. So I'm just experimenting with different things on here. And then on the bottom has the you like it? Cool, I'm glad you like it. So it comes in nice and clear and everything. So that's the thing. That's the thing I really want to see, that it comes in really HD. Good, thanks Mark Bondi. Then on the bottom, you could put those tickers on the bottom, like on the bottom where it's showing you know, tuning this car, tuning a Policar Lotus 72D, you know, it has that scroll on there, and then I gotta put, like, you know, a little foot text on there, like tech cam, and you can see above me it says Chinese are watching the stream because I got the Chinese balloon there, and then I have the track cam over there. So, but it works good. It's pretty good setup. I like it. You can do a lot of different things that I haven't discovered yet that I understand. Raul from Conquest Racing, he is an expert on a lot of web design, and that guy, he could, yeah, myself. He could do, like, he's pretty incredible what he does with webmastering stuff. He can put stuff together. Like, he put something together last night. It only took him like 5 minutes. It was ridiculous. That one where you set up where, you know, local tracks are, that he's really good at that stuff, and he's good at camera work. So he does a lot of slow motion stuff as well, and you've seen his videos when he does reviews. They're really well put together, and he knows this system real well. And, you know, he says I could actually have cameras upstairs when I get the wood track done and hook it up to down here to have multiple ones. So that'd be kind of cool to experiment into that. But I like to do the multiple camera thing because I could, you know, I hope you could see mostly what I was doing here, but because this is sitting down. I had it on a tripod. It'd probably be better, and the tripod is on the way today, so you can see if I was to hold it in this position. And maybe that is the Amazon guy dropping my tripod up, I'm not sure, but it just kind of helps. And this camera is a real good camera for vlogging, so, but it would be like this in this position. So I just hope that you guys were able to see what I was doing, because I was having to constantly focus it too, and I need to figure out how to get it to focus on my subjects better when I'm doing stuff. Then I have my phone, which is the track cam, and that's what's facing there. But yeah, no problem. Yeah, Dewan. So eCam, it's not cheap per year. And I won't even say the price. You might actually be floored by it. So, but this is a subscription for a year. And the program, you could use other programs too. You could use OBS, which is free. Try OBS first, because OBS will also do hookups as well. And similar to this, eCam's just a little more geared toward the Macintosh computer. So if you have a Windows-based computer like Intel or, you know, something like that, Dell, this program will not work on a Android type Windows type computer. This is for Mac. So if you have Macintosh, an eCam system will work. If you don't, OBS would be fine for both. What camera's in the car? So what camera's in the car is this one right here. This is the Sony ZV-1. It's a vlogging camera. This is the one Raul recommended me to get, and it's really a really nice detailed camera. It really shows, you know, once you have good light. Of course, I always have dark shadows on myself, but it really does a good job with details and stuff, and doing like vlogging stuff. And that's what this camera is made for, and that's why I have it set down here to do that. And I also don't have the other light on either, which I probably should have thrown it on. I forgot all about it, so I have another light here that I use for the track. Here we go. And I probably should have done that, so you can see this a little bit more, and it probably would have focused better too, because we have more light. These tend to focus a little bit better. But this is like a spotlight up here that I have. I'll show it to you. It's kind of bright, but it's right up there. And then this is a desk lamp that I have right here that I had the light coming down. But and that's kind of bright. I want to be able to use like a diffuser on this, which you could use, which Marty's told me you could use shower curtain as a diffuser. You cut that out. It's like a white white, and it kind of breaks up the light a little bit more, because I definitely need a diffuser on that. So, but I mean, it's a good program. You know, the vlogging camera, it's not cheap also. It's like about $700. I get it through Amazon. I usually like to do the little payment plans, which I have 2 things on a payment plan. That's what I do, my maximum. And then I pay them off, and then I get other stuff if I need it. When you start doing this kind of stuff, it can't get up there in price. You know, you got to get lights, you know, get a good camera, good mic. Right now I'm using the mic that's on top of this, and later on I'll get a mic that's more of a boom, to where it could, you know, you could hear me better. So it works, you know, the sound doesn't sound like I'm distant. So, but yeah, so Ecamm itself, it's the setup. I'll show you what it looks like. So that's how Ecamm looks like when you are doing this. So over here you have the different cameras you could turn off and text. So if I want to turn off a text, I could just shut it off. So if I want to turn off the ticker on the bottom, which would be this one, where we are, right here, this one right here, this is a ticker that scrolls. So what I could do is just lock it out, and then, oh, that's actually the camera. That's the iPhone camera. Right here, this one, and then it'll disappear. Same thing with the cameras, like you just saw that. I could connect my iPad to it, which I have. And the iPad I use for the Smart Race, if I want to show times for Smart Race. And then down here is sound effects, which I haven't used yet. This is your scene up here, what scene you have, which is this whole thing right here, which is the background, the Area 51 Raceway. Then over here, your guys' comments come in, so I could see them without having to be on YouTube itself. And then up here is just telling you the camera effects. You can make camera effects if you wanted to for each camera. Right now, this is just, it's because I'm clicked onto that one. I could click on these different ones. You could also use your, let me see, it is your screen share. So here's one right here, screen share. So now this is my screen on my computer. I could pop up there right now. So then if I wanted to go to a website, say, and look at stuff, I could project that as well. And OBS does this also. It's not just, you know, the Ecamm. So you can do it with OBS. But it's a pretty good setup. It works well for this kind of stuff. And then I kind of like to also show the track, so you can see me tuning the car when I screw up, not cleaning the tires, stuff like that. So it helps, you know, to kind of see it really live how you do stuff, because not everything goes as you want it to when you plan it. I mean, when, you know, you plan the car to tune right, and then it screws up a lot, and you're like, oh wow, this guy doesn't know how to tune. So you just got to work those little problems. I like to show everything with transparency. You know, I'm not perfect. So there you go, you two. A great job of responding to the comments. Keep it up. Thank you, John. That's John there from Fast Sports. He's got a great video on the driving when he was racing. That's a good one. I watched that. That's a real good one. So John's actually has been in race cars, you know, so he's got some familiarity with that. Mr. John there from Fast Sports. But any other questions? This is pretty much what I wanted to do, was that and experiment with this the second time, this system, and I'll probably experiment more, and hopefully I'll get my tripod today and kind of get my lighting settled out, and just make it a little bit better and better as I go along. But any other questions anybody has? Anybody have any questions about this Ecamm? It's $32 a month. So you know, so a year it's a lot. So if you pay for the year, you're done. But it's pretty well thought out program. But if you don't want to spend that much, then you can use the OBS software. OBS is fine also. This one's a little bit more fancier and you know, runs pretty good. The OBS, I tried it out the first time. It was fine, but I didn't really work at it more. And you could go on Google and type up OBS software for. It should be OBS software, and it'll come up. It'll come up there, and it'll tell you for Mac and for, you know, Windows based. This one right here, Ecamm, is just Macintosh. Unfortunately, it's only for Mac. So, any plans for your senior track? You know, not at the moment. I probably want to add lights above the Area 51 sign there, the green sign. I'll probably put some lights, because I got a lot of connections on the bottom. I could add lights still, because I left a lot off from the old track. So the old track, if you've seen it, there was a UFO crash where that one is at right now, and that's a platform that you can move. Harry gave me that when I went to visit him at Home Racing World when we did the Labor Day, because he didn't need it. He said, "Here, this will be perfect for your track." So that thing actually works, and I can move that around anywhere. As far as permanent scenery, there's nothing really permanent, like, you know, tacked down. Now, I guess I could do in the middle there and over the back. I could probably add more ships or do more stuff, which I haven't done yet. I've been mainly concentrating on just trying to get all, you know, this other stuff done with those cars and things. And but yeah, I don't know right now if I'm going to do any more. I could go to the dollar store and add stuff, but you know, the Sony is a nice cam. I got interrupted by the dogs one. Yeah, 11 a.m. stream. Oh, don't worry, John. I have 2 dogs too, man. Mitzi and Zoe. So what's the name of my dog? So now I know what that is. Yeah, it's a Sony ZV-1. It's I said 700. It's like $760. It's worth the money. It's a real good camera from what I've been reading up and the things you could do with it. It's a dedicated vlogging camera. So it's good for doing videos and doing just internet like videography and live stuff. Let's see, Gene, I jumped on late. Did I hear you say you only true stock rubber tires? No, I wouldn't say that. So this one right here, you could true these. You do it real lightly, just, you know, get them nice and smooth, you know, not there any high spots gone. And then I treat them with any 3-in-1 oil, but I use the tire tweak, and they'll run fine. But the NSR ones I don't true, to be honest. I usually put those on, treat them, and, you know, clean them and nap them. I leave them overnight is what I do, and then I run them on the track, and the track seems to really beat them to the point where it gets them where you want them to be without truing. Because the other cars that I have there on the platform, on the track, are NSR tires. And those, like Harry said, we all gravitate to NSR. I mean, it's good shit. Sorry, you know, and he's right. But there's also Slotted and other brands as well that makes good rubber tires. And I ordered some G25 tires. I'm going to try some of those just to kind of see the comparison. But yeah, I'll true stock tires sometimes. The fronts I may true a little bit on these. I know Harry's talked about making a small taper on these, which you can on the front wheels or the front tires to, you know, do it real lightly. The thing with rubber tires is you have to make sure that they don't burn up, so you got to use a little water and stuff. So when you true them out, John, I shoot my pictures and videos with my Samsung Note Time to upgrade. You know, cell phones are so. So I have a digital camera, and I learned from photography from my father, which he did a lot of 35 millimeter film stuff. And we used to go to the dark room and actually use the three chemicals. You would use, you know, get your negative, and you'd be in the dark room with the red light, and you use the projector that would burn the image onto the photosensitive paper. And then I did it, you know, with the chemicals. I used to do that a lot. So I still have an old Olympus 35 millimeter. And then I have a digital camera as well. But the thing is, no problem, Gene. The thing is with cameras on the phones, I mean, everything's so advanced. It's like you'd have to, you know, I guess it's just more convenient to me to use a cell phone camera because they're so good instead of carrying a big, you know, kind of a big bulky digital camera. Nothing against those. But then you have vlogging cameras, and they do use those type of cameras that are like digital cameras for movie making too, because they're more compact, and it's just like for the everyday user, the cell phone's so much easier. So yeah, I mean, a Galaxy phone is just as good as, you know, a regular camera, you know, if they're really good at taking photos. Gladstone, what tires do you use on 125th? So if they're scratch built, they're Paul Gauge tires. All scratch built cars are Paul Gauge tires. I don't use any rubber. Paul Gauge tires to me work the best on wood. I mean, I guess I could try rubber if they had any, but I think the Paul Gauge tire is the best for scratch building. My SLRs are collecting dust. Yeah, you ain't kidding. I got an SLR down there, and I haven't used it in a long time. And sometimes I'll bust it out, and I may do something with it. But it's so easy to grab a cell phone and just take a photo and just, or take a video. I mean, the freaking iPhone and the Galaxy Android phones they're freaking spectacular with video and photo. You can see the one right here on the track cam. That's an iPhone, and it's you know, it's amazing what the technology is now. Even with video cameras, you know, small little GoPros and stuff, and Raul does that with Conquest Racing with doing his track car that follows the other car. That's pretty cool how he's able to do that. It's just a lot of things you can do out there with the cell phone camera. It's easy, compact, and user friendly. Super easy to use. That's why a lot of people don't use the digital SLRs anymore. And old school film, man. Remember the rangefinder cameras? They call them rangefinders because you were looking through a window, but the lens was over here, and then you snapped a picture, a little Kodak one. Yep. Oh yeah, Olympus OM. Yep, OM1. I have an Olympus. Actually, I have a Pentax. Wait a minute. It's a Pentax, Honeywell Pentax. That's the one my father gave me. I still have it up there. It's a big, heavy camera. It's got a wide-angle lens on it. It's a real old-school camera. Yep, that was the camera I used to use to do stuff with, too. Now it's all cell phones. Who could beat a cell phone camera? I mean, you can take pictures on the fly like that, and they go right to your phone. And then you load them up to a database that stores your pictures. You know, that's cool. We didn't used to have that growing up. We had to use film and stuff, and that's why there's probably not too many pictures of me as a kid, because now you could do it because it's so convenient. You know, my grandkids, I'm always taking pictures of them because it's easy. You just don't need a big one. It's not what you have, it's how you use it, which is what I always remind my wife. That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's how you use it. Yep, that is perfectly true on that fact. Yep. Alright guys, I think I will sign off. Thanks for joining me. Hope that kind of helped out some of you guys that know about these Policars. And of course, appreciate everybody's input. John, thanks for telling me a few things also, and everybody else. So, alright guys, as always, as I say, take care and have fun racing.